What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning into this episode of English Turks, where I review your favorite Turkish series with and without English subtitles. And it's Saturday, so you know it's our weekly update. Alright guys, let's get into it. It's been a crazy week. All the Dizzies were all over the place, and I want to get started on Monday, which is Sefirin Kizi. Now you guys, oh my gosh, Sefirin Kizi was off the chain, because if you've watched it, you know that Sancar and Gedis are now enemies. It's not Sancar's fault. It is fully Gedis' fault, because now his mind is completely confused. I keep thinking that there's gonna be some kind of like a clown popping out of somewhere, like somebody's gonna laugh and say, shaka, yeah. I think that's how you say it, right? It's just a joke, right? But no, it's not a joke. They're actually now enemies, and it's really sad. I felt sad at the end of the episode because it was not something that anybody wanted, but obviously I have issues with certain people in the show. I'm not going to put that out on here, but if you listen to my podcast, you'll kind of get where I'm coming from. One thing I will say, and this is not about this week's episode, but probably happened the week before, is how come no one is saying thank you to these people that keep watching their daughter? Like, Sancar goes, picks up his daughter from the house. I can't remember if that was in this episode or the episode. I think it was the episode before, because this episode she was trying to run away. But like, he goes and picks up the daughter from the house. I get that you don't want to tell him anything, but this man literally watched your child. If you both would have died on that boat, Gedis had your kid. He was taking care of your kid. Your child feels drawn to feels safe with him. And you didn't even have the decency to say thank you. And even if you're mad at him, you don't even say thank you to the mom or the sister or anybody. You guys, I feel like they just use and abuse everybody around them, and they just leave the girl every 5 seconds. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. The show was good. I was sad, but hey, life happens. I want to say this. I did not put any blog posts up this week. I don't know what happened. It's just so many Dizzies, so little time. And I didn't put any blogs up this week, so everything that I've talked about it with any of these shows, reviewing or anything, it was just a podcast all week. So there's a podcast for every single one of these episodes, that shows that I'm talking about today. Let's go to Tuesday. So Menajerimi Ara took me forever to watch. I think I ended up watching it on like Thursday or something, because it took forever for them to upload the Dizzy so that the translators could translate the Dizzy. It's so annoying, but I ended up finding the English translation, watched it, loved it. I'll just say Dijalay's dad, he escaped a big one, okay? He started off the episode being everyone hating him, ends the episode with everyone loving him, so he was lucky. He gets the lucky star of the week because he was lucky. And then Dijalay and Barish have gotten a little closer. We ended the episode on this like weird point of basically him asking her to stay, but he's in a drunk state, so it probably won't amount to much, but I'm glad they're getting closer. So I did talk about them and the whole episode in my podcast, so if you want to go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you can listen to it. It gets a lot of listens, that one. I guess everyone really likes the podcast for those shows, so listen up to that one. And then we go to Wednesday, and it was Sen Çal Kapimi, and that show was hot. It gets the hot sticker of the week because that show was on fire this week. I mean, if you didn't understand me when I said there's no chemistry between certain actors, this is what I'm talking about when I say chemistry, okay? It hasn't been this hot in here since Kirali Aşk or Ikunji Kuz. It hasn't been this hot in here since one of those shows. So, like I said in my podcast, they have been set on the iconic bar for one of those couples that just heated up. I mean, the whole episode was on fire. The chemistry was like, it was like punching a bag. That chemistry was hot, okay? From him keep trying to find a reason for her to be around him and be with him, and then him getting sick and her going over to take care of him, and then her, you know, the constant phone calls back and forth, and then finally with him chasing her down and then declaring love and then kissing her. Like, my breath was like, I was so excited the whole night. When I did the podcast, I literally had to calm myself down so that I wouldn't hurt people's ears, because I was ready to be like, oh my gosh, you know, like really loud, but I held it together. But if you want to know all my thoughts on Sen Çal Kapimi, because they got the hot sticker of the week, then you need to go and tune into that podcast, find it, listen to it. It had so many listens this week, and I think it's because we all know the hot fire, and everybody on Facebook was on fire this week. So if you want to know, and it seems like next week's episode is going to be just as hot, so tune in. And then we go to Thursday, and it's supposed to be Yeni Hayat day, but I didn't watch it. Oh, sorry guys. I'm gonna have to end up dropping a few shows, just because Dokdugun is coming back out, and you know that's the main hitter for me. And so since they say Dokdugun is supposed to be coming out on a Wednesday the same time as Sen Çal Kapimi, then I think I'm gonna reserve my English version for that to be my Thursday day. So I think I'm gonna drop Yeni Hayat, because I mean, I'll watch this one. I'm not gonna drop it just yet, but I think if I'm gonna drop any shows, it's gonna have to be that one first and foremost, and the second one would have to be Yalnis. I know people, don't kill me, don't come for me in the comments, but Yalnis has never been my favorite. It just never, like, this is, I'm not even gonna bring it up. Don't even worry. I'm not gonna bring it up. You know what I'm thinking. I'm not gonna bring it up. But again, like the show, I struggled to just watch it. I forced myself all morning to watch it. Like, I was standing at the post office and the line was long, and I'm like, if I'm gonna stand in the line at the post office, I might as well watch Yalnis, and I did. But I'm very confused, because last week there was a post saying that the show got renewed for another season. But then this week, today, I look online and they said the show is being canceled after the 14th episode. So I'm completely confused about that, but I haven't done the podcast. I'm going to do the podcast right after I upload this about the episode, and I'm also going to do a blog post, and it's going to be about John's character. I want you guys to read that blog post and let me know what you think, because I have some interesting thoughts about John's character, and one of the reasons why I'm not that crazy about the show. So if you go ahead and want to converse with me on that, then definitely read that blog post and then leave some comments for me so that I can know what you guys are thinking, if I'm right or wrong or crazy or what, I don't know. And then Masumlar Apartmani, oh my gosh guys, I watched that show this week, and that show is like a mind boggler. Like, it's crazy. Have you guys watched it? Like, oh my gosh, it's super intense. I'll give it the intense star of the week. Like, it's intense. Like, you have to mentally be preparing yourself to watch that show. It's not like your easy show, which I kind of like that about it, you know? It's very intense, and something crazy happened in this episode this week. I don't want to reveal it here, but I did talk about it in the podcast, and Masumlar and Sen Çal Kapimi are two of the podcasts that always get like the most listens. So if you want to know my thoughts on this week's episode for Masumlar Apartmani, you need to listen to that podcast. I'm not going to get into it here because we don't have the time. And then finally, I asked you guys last week whether I should add Ariza or Igunday Kotu to my show lineup, and I did get a suggestion for Igunday, so I started watching it, and I'm so glad that I did. Every show just has their own little thing, and Igunday is no exception. It has its own little certain charisma about it, and I actually loved it. It's that thing that makes you feel awkward, but it's like you want to watch it because you're like, oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh. But I gave my clear, concise review on that. Listen to the podcast, because if you hear that clear, concise, you're going to be like, yes, girl, you're absolutely right. I love that show. The last show that I want to talk to you guys that I started watching this week, and it was all because I was waiting for Menajerimi Ara, but it just was not coming out when it was supposed to. But Legacy was constantly being recommended to me on YouTube, so I finally took the plunge and watched it, and then I got addicted. It's what they do. Now, Legacy is just like The Promise. If you ever watch Yemen, I was watching Yemen like on the dot every week until like the second season, and then the second season things started getting a little confusing and annoying, and so I stopped watching. Hopefully they don't do that with this show. I left a complete detailed review because this show does not air once a week. This show airs 5 days a week, 1 hour and some change, and then they don't air on the weekends, so you have your weekends to rest. And guys, the girl who is the lead in this series was the sister in Yemen, which is the reason why I decided to click and watch it. But I have all the details in the podcast. I won't bore you guys with the details right now, but listen to the podcast. I'm also going to post a podcast about Yalnis, and I promise I will be absolutely nice as I can be. And as for Yeni Hayat, I might watch it. Who knows? We'll see. I don't know. I feel like I need to go to sleep, take a nap or something, because all these dizzies make you tired. Other than that, like, this week was really crazy, but we had some great kickers all week. I loved it. I loved reading and sharing with you guys in all the Facebook groups. I love hanging with you guys there. Next week, I'm going to have this super cool announcement. I'm excited. I'm waiting, and I can't wait to tell you guys, and I hope you guys will tune in next week for our weekly update. And until then,